Up next is Ryan Newman, and he drives the number 31 Caterpillar Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. And Ryan, currently right now, you're inside the circle, I guess you would say, inside the chase grid as far as where you're lined up. And I know you'd like to get that win, though, to solidify that. Let's talk about your outlook this weekend here at Richmond.
It's a great racetrack. It's great to be here, and just look forward to the opportunity to running well. Statistically, it's been a good track for me. In our position where we are in points, win or not, if we just do our job with a good Caterpillar Chevrolet, we'll be in contention to make these last 10 races a lot of fun.
We'll take questions now for Ryan Newman. If you have one, raise your hand. Claire B. Lang is going to lead us off. And then we're going to go to Tom in the corner and then to Rebecca from CNN.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Through the first part of the season leading into where you're at now, you've been very consistent as a team. You're flying a little bit under the radar, but being consistent to get yourself in this position. Talk about that and your team and where you think you're at right now.
I think that all depends on how well defined your radar is. We have been fairly consistent. Like I said, your radar, somebody else's might be different, but the guys have been doing a really good job of providing really good cars that are holding together, and that keeps us in that position that we've been in. We've had issues like every other team, whether it's a tire problem or a pit stop or something like that, but we've kept ourselves in contention to be 9th in points right now and have a shot at being in the chase. So it's been a lot of fun. This is a great opportunity for us now as we go back to some of these racetracks for the second time. We had there was a few races in there like Watkins Glen and Indy and a couple others where you don't experience the second race until later in the season. So going back to Richmond and Loudon and a few other places like that, we'll as a team get to prove what we've learned in the first experience together.
All right, we'll go back to Tom, and then we'll go over here to Rebecca.
Hi, Ryan. Tom Jensen, Fox Sports. Given the nature of this race, that some guys, the only chance they have to get into the chase is win, there might be some people who are very, very aggressive late in the race. Is that a concern to you, especially given that you just need a decent finish to make it in? Are you worried about basically anybody doing anything stupid or crazy at the end of the race?
I think it's a concern. That would be naive if I said it wasn't a concern. But I think after what happened last year, I think that the magnifying glass is zoomed in a little tighter than it used to be, and that we'll have a good race, and that it would be good for our sport to not have what happened last year in any form or fashion, this year, and have a good race here because it is a great racetrack.
Over here to the left, Rebecca.
Hey Ryan, Rebecca Baer from CNN. I'm doing a story on your lead engineer, Alba, and she spoke with me this morning about how you guys team up and go talk to schools and to young folks about engineering and education and careers in science fields. Can you tell me a little bit about that mission and what it means to you?
Say the first part one more time.
I'm working with Alba, your
okay,
yeah, about talking about promoting careers in science and engineering.
Yes, yeah, I've done a good bit in the past. Mostly through NASCAR with their STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and math, and how my engineering degree has helped me. I know it's important for Chevrolet, and it's important for all our teams as well to have that background of physics and understanding the race car. So it's important. We've done little things such as scaling out RC cars to show people how you can move weight around in the car and distribute the load so that the car reacts differently and things like that. So it's been fun to do those things. I haven't done them for the last little bit, but I have done a good bit with them.
Let's go to the back row. We've got looks like about 3 back there. Looks like Mark Garrow has one, and then gentleman right here, and my man here from Charlotte, Nate.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Given the fact, Ryan, I guess it's 41st or better, do you guys just sort of look for 3 dropouts and then get more aggressive, or do you stay with the normal game plan?
No, it's not 41st or better because we really have to keep an eye on the 16 car, because if somebody else wins that hasn't, I could finish 21st and not make it if Biffle's second or so, something. It's close to that math. So it's not just 41st or better, but in the end, like I said, we're in a good position. We're here to win the race for Caterpillar and all our other sponsors and have some fun. I mean, after all, that's what it's all about.
Let's go ahead to the guy next to you. Tell me your name again.
I'm Kyle.
Kyle, okay. I
Kyle,
remember
Fox
that.
46
Kyle,
in Charlotte.
a man here.
Ryan, just wondering if, we've seen this race be very exciting. A lot of people have interesting finishes and outcomes and tempers and things flare sometimes. Do you think this new chase format is going to have an impact on that and the excitement of the race in general?
I really, after 25 races, I think you're going to see typical Richmond racing. I don't necessarily think that their chase format is going to change the outcome of what happens in the last 5 laps or what happens in the last 5 minutes after the checkered flag. I think that that's typical Richmond, and it's a little bit different situation this year because you've got however many guys, 13 or whatever guys that have won a race that are locked in, and they might be experimenting or experiencing different things versus the other, whatever it is, 13 guys that have a shot of winning the race and racing their way in. So it's just a little bit different, I guess, looking at it 2 different ways of how people are going to attack the race. I mean, we're all at times here to win, but there's some other guys that have different motives.
Let's go down the row there. Go ahead. Get him a mic. Let's get him a microphone, please.
Chip RIR, 8 News. You talked about other drivers being aggressive. You feel good about your spot, but at some point during the race, the tension might kind of rise a bit. You start noticing Biffle's up there. When you're going about this race knowing that there's a lot on the line, how is it that you're going to be able to handle the tension and kind of the adversity when you've got guys aggressive and there are a lot of places you need to be in the grid?
I'm going to go see my Palm Raider tonight and just kind of get a forecast of what I got going on tomorrow and see what laps of cautions are going to be. Make sure we stay away from those windows so we don't put under green and keep myself in the same position. But no, really, it's you can look at it that way, but I still say that the last 25 races, that intensity, that emotional, mental, and physical level that you have to have is no different then than it is now. And you have the potential for things to fall apart, don't get me wrong, but things have fallen apart in the last 25, and you can't pinpoint it on one thing that happens Saturday night here in Richmond. So it's you can live in the moment, but it really takes a culmination of 26 events to get to this point. And what happens tomorrow night, and it's it can be good or it can be bad.
Who else had questions? Marty Smith and Nate Ryan. Let's go to Marty and then Nate Ryan.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Hey, Ryan. All right, outside of the obvious, which is running for a championship, what are the biggest reasons that the chase matters to a driver and to a race team outside of that obvious answer?
It's to me it's one word. It's the word champion, and that's one of the things that I learned from being a Daytona 500 winner, which makes you a champion, and a Brickyard 400 winner, which makes you a champion. Those races define a race and also a championship, and that's why those races are so special. Being a champion in the last 10 races makes you a champion of our sport. I mean, it's just the word itself. I mean, it's what we all strive for, to be that champion. You can be a winner in our sport, but that doesn't mean you're a champion. You have to go out there and put it all together in our series now in 10 races at the end to have it be your championship.
Let's go to Nate Ryan. Raise your hand there, Nate. Let's get Nate the microphone, please.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. The track was repaved 10 years ago, and it seemed like the first few years it was a little bit tame. But in the last 4 or 5 years, it seems like there's a lot more action, a lot more bang fenders. I think 4 of the last 5 races, there's been a caution flag in the last 10 laps. Any reason for that? Does it seem like this place is getting racier?
I think it's just guys doing everything that they can in that last little bit. I mean, you spend 395 laps, either getting frustrated or mad that you're not in the position you want to be in, and somebody takes it out on somebody, and that's more prone to short track racing than anything else. Why it is more so now than 10 years ago, I don't have a really good answer for you on that. There's a lot of things that have changed between the tire and the car, the drivers, the caliber of the competition that we have. It's easier to be frustrated now with that narrowed margin of competition than it was 10 years ago. So there's a lot of things to factor into that. In the end, it's still great Richmond short track racing.
Right here. We'll end with Lewis.
Louis Franco Reuters. Everyone's talking right now about tomorrow night, but yesterday Talladega announced new qualifying plans. I'm wondering, earlier Carl was saying, it's tough enough to do one fast lap. This will be the first time on a super speedway that they'll be doing this kind of group qualifying. I was wondering what you thought about that.
Yeah, I kind of skimmed over and read the page document that it took for us to try to figure out how to qualify at Talladega, and it seemed like it was kind of a bit of a mess. So it's one of those things where in the end, we've always said that qualifying at Talladega doesn't mean a whole lot other than pit selection. But to me, qualifying should still be qualifying, and trying to mix in racing with qualifying is not what I define qualifying in my book. Yep.
Back row, let's go all the way to the back.
Thought I did a good job of explaining that without. Yeah.
Mark Davis, NBC 12 here in Richmond. Ryan,
Notice how Kerry kept looking at me like, what's he going to say?
I'm just. Go ahead.
Ryan, with the new format, seeing it for 25 races now, this being the 26, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the new chase format after being kind of enveloped in it for most of the season now, and it being the first year. What are your thoughts on the new format here?
The irony to me is it seems like no matter what the format is, I still end up being that guy that's either in or out of the bubble. Right now I'm 9th in points. There's been years I've been 12th in points and 11th in points. And, if you moved the championship point system around in different years, I'd have been really good a couple of years. But in the end, it is what it is. It's the same for everybody. We know it going into Daytona for the 500, what we have to do coming into Richmond. And it still involves winning races, and that winning races, whether winning you're in or winning you have a better chance of being in, those points all add up. So to me, it's the typical it is what it is answer, and the biggest change in my eyes will be the next 10, not necessarily the first 26.
Final question right here. State your name, please. What's your name?
Brandon Witten with MotorRacingDigest.com. Ryan, do you think it's feasible for a team to go through the chase, not win a race, and still win the championship?
Absolutely. It's mathematically totally possible, and I mean there was some kind of stat that Junior would have done that last year. I don't know the exact truth to all of it, and I haven't mathed it all out, but he would have I think won the championship in Homestead with a 4th place finish. Is that right? So I mean it's totally doable, and that's why I said there's a lot of things that have changed, but yet the whole winning you're in doesn't necessarily guarantee winning a championship. You don't mathematically have to. We've proven that after the first 26, because somebody will get into the chase without winning a race.
Ryan, we appreciate you coming in. Good luck certainly here tomorrow night.
Thank you.